Is Ukraine's preparation for their big counteroffensive getting a massive boost? And is Russia trying to finagle another prisoner exchange with the U.S.? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. It's March 31st, 2023. This is your daily Ukraine update. Let's get right into it. Okay, first off, let's get the right screen. We look at Bachmann. And as you guys can see, there is, again, just marginal changes, right? We're talking about measuring it in fractions of a city block. It looks like about half a block here and about half a block here in the southeast corner of the city. Again, really, really glacial progress from Russian forces. And again, the assessments that we've been reading is that Wagner has taken considerable casualties in this effort, that they remain focused on Bachmann and attempting to achieve this victory. But it's, of course, come at a tremendous, tremendous cost, if it ever happens at all. Also, when we look at the combat map, you can see that Russia, again, launching 80 attacks, so a significant increase from yesterday, but still far below the sort of main offensive average that we've seen. And you can see the focus really focusing heavily on the encirclement of Avdiivka. Finally, you're seeing Russian forces use some economy of force here, really focusing their attacks on creating this northern and southern prong to encircle Avdiivka. But most good assessments are that Avdiivka still has a while before it's in danger of encirclement. You can see there's still a significant clear route out of the city through 542 as well as through the rail yard here. It looks like there may also be smaller farm paths that crisscross fields outside of the town, meaning that it's going to be a lot harder for Russian forces to achieve their goal of severing major routes out of the city. And in Bachmann, of course, the Russian effort remains the same. Again, trying to encircle this cauldron even as they try to force block by block Ukrainian forces out from the Bakhmutka. But this is only part of the story. And what we're really seeing, first off, what is sometimes what you don't see on the maps, as the Defense Intelligence brief from the UK points out. Last week, Ukrainian Special Operations Forces dropped footage of them taking out a Russian Zoopark counter-battery radar in the Donetsk area. Now, what are counter-battery radars? Well, counter-battery radars are massively powerful radar systems, or effective, rather. And what they do is detect incoming enemy indirect fire, mortars and artillery, and they quickly run calculations to figure out the point of origin of those strikes. Then it feeds that point of origin data to the artillery batteries, and those artillery batteries send rounds within minutes or sometimes even seconds back at the point of origin. So it's a way to punish, basically, your enemy when they're able to get artillery into your location. It can mean that what otherwise would be a prolonged artillery barrage, instead it becomes just a few shots before the artillery pieces have to move to avoid counter-battery fire. The problem is, of course, they are easily detected, but they are very intensive technologies. They require a lot of specialty equipment, specialty manufacture, right? Specialty materials, semiconductors, microprocessors. And when you have that, of course, it's slow to regenerate. So every hit to these counter artillery battery radars can be a massive blow to each side's ability to defend itself. Now, Ukraine has the advantage of not being sanctioned, whereas Russian sanctions are going to struggle, probably likely to struggle the most when they lose high-tech equipment, right? It's easy to get the steel necessary to remanufacture, say, an individual weapon system, but it's much, much harder to get sophisticated electronics, specialty materials, advanced computers that can do these sort of counter-battery radar processing. So all of this, again, is an example of, we'll call them, victory is too strong a word, but advantages for Ukraine and really preparation of the battlefield, right? By diminishing Russia's ability to counter artillery fire, Ukraine is preparing for a major offensive effort. And it's interesting too, again, Donetsk is a fairly large, it's a large area, and it's a fairly large, a fairly contested region. So it's possible that they are dealing with these counter battery radars because they are making lots of problems for Ukrainian batteries, and that it's not part of some sort of larger preparatory effort in Ukraine's preparing for its counteroffensive. But what's interesting is that I think the counteroffensive may be coming sooner rather than later. The reason I say this is because the U.S. Department of Defense recently gave a press briefing in which they acknowledged in Germany at the close of this month, that is tomorrow, more than 4,000 Ukrainian soldiers, 2 brigades, one equipped with Bradleys and one equipped with Strykers, will have completed their combined arms training and will have returned to Ukraine. That is a huge boost. 4,000 mechanized soldiers, 2 brigades is a lot of combat power, especially when you're talking about being equipped with Brads and Strykers. This combined arms, right? And there's also, of course, combined arms training for another 1,200 Ukrainian armed force personnel. An operator and maintenance training is going on for another 3,000 Ukrainians that have completed training over since last April. And so this, I think the significant news here is, again, 2 brigades with very advanced equipment and have completed their combined arms training, are ready to hit Ukraine. Now, remember, that doesn't mean you're going to hit the ground and charge at Russian lines. There's still, of course, the planning phase of this operation, but you can be certain that these guys, having completed advanced combined arms training, which is the term for getting all the pieces of a military to work together. But now that they've completed this training, right, they're going to start preparing for the actual mission ahead of them, the actual counteroffensive. And presumably, a lot of this planning work has been done by Ukrainian staffs at the brigade level, or the above the brigade level. But now that these brigades are back, they are going to have to get their own brigade planning underway. And so you're looking at least a month before they are pushing into new locations, right, and launching their counteroffensive. But you can be certain, I am almost certain that is exactly what these guys are for. What's also interesting is that Russia's FSB has arrested a Wall Street Journal correspondent in Yekaterinburg in Russia. And this is the site of course, sensitive defense manufacturing enterprises like anti-aircraft rockets, long-range missiles, radio systems, ground support, aircraft, and more. Russia says they caught him, quote, red-handed, but espionage and journalism, is worth pointing out, often look almost exactly the same. And of course, it's a problem if you are reporting on the struggles of the defense industrial base. It probably looks to the FSB or is not meaningfully different from conducting espionage on Russia's defense industrial base. Now, more important that what Russia is trying to do here, I suspect, is get more leverage on the United States. And you notice that recently, of course, they detained a women's professional basketball player on fairly trumped up charges, probably in an effort to extract concessions from the United States. And they succeeded in doing so. The U.S. released a notorious arms dealer. And so it's not clear what Russia thinks it's doing, but there's a medium chance that they think they will be able to exchange this correspondent for more Russian political prisoners. There's a theory, actually, that it may be related to a U.S. arrest of another Russian suspected spy. So anyway, guys, that is almost all I had for you. Of course, the last thing, as always, is that I have launched my own site. I was booted off Patreon because Patreon sucks. They're tired of war content. So I've launched combatvetnews.com. And Combat Vet News, of course, has all my YouTube videos for free on there. Maybe you're watching this video there now. Thanks. And you can become a member, just like the Patreon, but access members-only content, which includes not only the Patreon archives, but all the GoPro footage, the drone footage, everything we need to get the insight and intel on the fighting that's happening on the ground. That's all behind the members-only content. And of course, it's also the way to support the channel. Certainly Patreon, certainly even YouTube, routinely are cracking down on this. We're also going to be rolling out a news feed. You can sort of see us building it out here, where you can get all the updates, all the news stories on Ukraine, even the ones that I don't have time to talk about in the daily update. So anyway, guys, thanks as always. The link is in the description, and I will see you guys in the next one.